You just discovered the channel where we work on anything two-wheel related. I'm talking pedal power, gas power, even electric. Hang out with us while we work on some amazing builds, visit some really sweet tracks, and even get to meet some great people along the way. Welcome to Tank Slap TV. Hey, is that the last Founders? One thing that I love about this rainy weather is it gives you a chance to get back inside your garage and work on some of these old projects that have been sitting around. Like this one here. This is my 1979 Kawasaki KZ400. It's been bobbed out, chopped, all sorts of crazy stuff. Some things done pretty well, some things, not so much. So we're going to jump into this as our first project together and see what we can make out of this old bobber. But before we do, how about a little history lesson? The Kawasaki KZ400 first rolled onto the scene in 1974, a modest 398cc parallel twin that quietly carved out a space for itself in the hearts of everyday riders. Built with twin balancer shafts, one ahead and one behind the crankshaft, both spinning opposite to the engine's rotation, it offered a smoother, more refined ride than many of its contemporaries. It even featured an early emission control system, recycling engine blow-by gases at a time when few motorcycles considered environmental impact. Kawasaki billed it as the most practical, all-around machine, and that's exactly what it was. As the years passed, later models grew slightly in size to 443cc, but the spirit remained unchanged. The KZ400 wasn't about flash or bravado, it was about reliability, affordability, and getting you where you needed to go. Kawasaki built them not only in Japan, but also in Lincoln, Nebraska, making history as the first foreign motorcycle manufacturer to open a factory on American soil. Throughout the 70s, it outsold even the Honda in the 400cc twin category. In one memorable ad from 1975, Kawasaki parked the KZ400 beside a Volkswagen Beetle with the slogan, "Think even smaller," a playful nod to its efficient design and practical charm. Decades later, the KZ400 found a new life among collectors and classic bike enthusiasts. There's a quiet beauty in its simplicity. Timeless silhouette, an engine that's easy to understand and maintain, and a riding experience that recalls a slower, more hands-on era. Unlike many bikes from that time, the KZ400 was rarely modified or hot-rodded, largely because few performance parts existed for it. As a result, many original examples have survived the years relatively untouched. Parts remain surprisingly available, prices are still within reach, especially when compared to other vintage machines. Today, the KZ400 is more than just a motorcycle. It's a memory machine. It takes people back to their first rides, their weekend adventures, their simple commutes turned into quiet moments of freedom. And with a growing community of classic Japanese motorcycle fans, from local clubs to international gatherings, the legacy of the KZ400 continues to hum along, steady, dependable, and full of heart. Oh, hey, while you were gone, I took the liberty of changing into something more comfortable. Hope you don't mind. All right, so where do I want to start on this thing? I have never heard this run. I don't really know what I'm in for here. What I can tell you is the engine does turn over, so I have a pretty good feeling. Yeah, okay. So I think we can get it to run. I don't know what this wiring looks like. This little rat's nest over here is a little disconcerting. Is that the word? Concerning. It concerns me. I'm concerned. And when I say rat's nest of wiring, I mean there's actually rats in here, or have been in here. That's pretty gross. Antivirus. Put that down there. Oh, well, just looking over it all. Why don't I get you in here a little closer so you can actually see what I'm seeing? Yikes. This is the stuff that scares me. Remember that not so good stuff? It's going to be the wiring. We've got kind of cheesy 12-volt switches, a random starter solenoid off of who knows what. Probably Chinese make, I'm pretty sure. Yes, it is. A bus bar. Okay. Is that a 12-volt? Open? Nah, see, yeah. That's power. That has power on it, and it's just open. That's the not so good stuff. I do like that they ran a harness in here. So, and then we've got an inline fuse, and then they made their own little silicone to make the seal, and then the seat base sat on top like that and bolted on, and then you have an old lawnmower switch. And then I don't know, I'm gonna have to figure out what's what. So I don't know what this is. What would this? So on, off. Maybe this actually is. Maybe that's power on. Yeah. Ooh. Sure. So yeah, I'm thinking that's a link between battery and this bus, and then all of the other power comes out of that. So that's, I bet, your on-off switch, and then I think this key that only has 3 wires. Yep, this is probably just turn the key to make it start. Ugh. That's what I get out of that. All right, well, what else we got? Single carb conversion. Looks like I purchased single manifold, but then they got this old. Oh, look at that. Kind. A large bore. Okay. Cool. Maybe. It's just kind of dangling there, rubbing up against this. That's horrible. So we're going to fix all that and make it mount if it works. And down there's looking pretty good. For those of you new to motorcycles, that's how you check the oil level. You can see it's about, it's almost 3/4 of the way up. That's deceiving on the camera. I'm looking at it in real life. It looks like halfway on the camera, but if I look in real life, yeah, it's all the way. It's right here. Actually, it looks pretty decent oil too. All right, cool. So it turns over. Good. That's a bonus. Got some random wireage. Look at this exhaust. Wow. Okay, I like the wrap. Cool. And then it comes down 2 into 1, and look, look what they did. Yes, that is a 90-degree bend to kick out. So, yeah, a little loss of flow there. No big deal. On the brakes. Oh, they feel pretty good, actually. Front breakage? Nothing. Nothing. Gas tank. Ooh. Oh, I didn't even notice that. I don't have a key for that. I don't have a key. It looks like it's. Yeah, we'll bring it out later. Look at this little watch face on the. That's pretty cool. Haven't seen something like that for a while. Clutch cable feels good. It is clutching. The clutch is clutching. That's pretty good. That feels nice. These are probably all shot. There is no kill switch up here. Deleted. And then, yeah, they took away that. And normally have your high or your turn signals, and I believe your high beam and your low beam indicator. What do we have here? Oil light stop lamp. Doesn't look like too much wiring up here has really been messed with. But that's to be determined. I mean, I see factory wiring just pulled out of the loom, so I don't know what's all chopped into it. I think probably whatever they just spliced into here to run back to that. Front fender not too bad. A little dent, a little rippled. I'm sure these fork seals are shot. So, yeah. If you look down here, it's like nice and smooth, but you come up here and there's a lot of pitting. So really, if I was going to start really running this on the road a lot, I'm just going to change out these forks here. But we're just going to try and get this thing running in this episode. See if I can't make it make some noise. Like I said, it's been sitting probably 10, maybe 15 years. But it kicks over. So I'm debating, do I want to? There are battery terminals right here. They have a charging setup, so you could just, the battery would be mounted in here, it looks like. That is a small battery. I do not have one that small, but I'm sure I can find something. Should I just hook a battery up and see if it lights on fire? Or I'm kind of tempted. Maybe you get a vacuum in here first. Let's do that. Clean her out. I'll test some hot wires to ground and see if I have any shorts. And if not, maybe we'll just go ahead and hook a battery up and see if anything turns on or lights up. What do you think? Deal. Oh, we need. Yep, there we go. Contact cleaner? Little. It makes it sound better than I do. All right, that looks. Ooh. Smells funny. Rat poop. I think I got all the mouse poop out of there. Okay, well. Cool. Yes. Cool. We'll hook up the switch. So shady looking. All right. That is. Oh, yeah. Power. Ground. I'm going to go ahead and take off. Ew, where's my adjustable? Too lazy to figure out whatever size this cheap switch is. Just. It's on there. That's a good thing. All right. Set this beast aside. That's heavy. That's got to be. Oh, it's homemade. I thought this was one of those eBay ones. Look at that. It's a. Yeah. I bet you that's 5 pounds. Weight reduction. Weight reduction. Yeah. All right. Key thing stuff. Charger. Get that out of the way. So we do have a positive and a negative. That's good to have when it comes to electronics. What does that go to? Oh, okay. So it's direct. Cool. All right. Come in here and see what I'm doing. We're going to mess with this yada, yada, yada stuff. All right. So negative, ground, positive. This is what I don't like. Look at this. This is boys and girls. No. 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 Exposed, positive. Yeah, it's 12 volts. It's not going to kill you, but it's going to fry your bike. All of this is ground. That's ground. That can just flop around and hit that and do that. This stuff needs to be secure in here. That is a number one priority on this before we really get too stupid. But I just want to see if anything does power up, what we have, what it does. And then knowing before I go trying to rewire everything is key, because if I just start hacking stuff apart now, I'm starting completely from scratch. If this ran the way it did, which I'm told it did, and no one died amazingly, or the motorcycle still ran amazingly, then the wiring's right. We just need to clean it up and orient it in a way that it won't be a nuclear weapon at 55 miles per hour on the road. Get a good multimeter. Always good to have. I think I got this from O'Reilly's a while back. It's not a bad one. It works pretty well. I definitely did not get this from O'Reilly. I ordered this off of Amazon. But anyway, pretty good. Switch over to ohmage. I'm not going to teach you guys how to use one. If you're watching this, you probably know. If not, then leave it down in the comments and be like, hey, teach me how to use a freaking multimeter. A multimeter, I say. All right. So all I'm going to do here is check for ground outs, see what's actually power and what's not, because if you get down here, I got like this random wire. That's to, I think, ground. I believe this is metal. Yeah, this case that they made is metal. So that's actually pretty cool. It's solid. It's not a piece of plastic or anything. But it's so close to this bus. And looking at this, I think this bus, and if you don't know what the bus is, it's basically a row where you hook either your positive or your negative to, and then everything can feed off that. It's a terminal, so to speak, and where everything can just feed off of either that positive or that negative. And to have an exposed positive terminal like this, right here in the bottom where everything else is just bouncing around metal, it's just not good. I'm not here to insult who built this, and I'm really sorry if at some point that person ever sees this and thinks I'm hating on them. It's just, that's not the right way to do it. So think before you drink, before you drive me bad. Okay, so our ground cable's good. So I can go off ground. Right. Maybe that is just ground. Maybe it's ground. And they just used a red wire for the ground. I don't know. They do that, you know. You ever see Vice Grip Garage? He says just use red for everything. Well, it's used the same color for everything, right? Theft device. Love those guys over there. All right. So that tells me ground and ground are grounded. If that's ground, I think that's power. I'm connected. I make no sense right now. I'm sorry for that. I'm just trying to think while I do, and I'm not good at that either. You hear that beeping? That means everything is connected to everything. Yeah, that's not good. Okay, so maybe I'm not just going to hook a battery up. Something is, it's definitely shorting. So this is the positive terminal. This is for what's positive. Directly to the battery. Let's see, can I get on it where it's rusty? That goes directly to the battery, and I'm putting this directly on the battery ground. Not good. All right, so shorted out. I'm going to sort through this, see what it is, see if I can figure out what it is, bring it back in here and show you what I found. And then we'll get to getting some power up in this thingamajigga. Okay, there's the culprit. Fused wireage, ground to positive. Oh, come on, focus. See it right in here? See how this must have kicked to the side? Got hot, and it is fused against that. So this is ground, and that's positive. So I'm going to get in there, tweak that, get that wire cut back, re-insulate it. And I bet you that will be our issue. Maybe. I don't know. There could be so many more. All right, that did it. So check it out. I just isolated it a little bit, wrapped some electric tape around it. Obviously not a permanent fix. So sorry if that seemed all too cinematically easy, but I think we just got lucky on that. But again, it's what I was talking about. You got open positives with negatives all around. That's what happens. Stuff is going to bounce around. You got to remember, you're on a motorcycle. You got heat, vibration. You got to make it tight. You got to make it work the way it's supposed to work. It's not that hard. Oh, positive per negative. All right, this is not the right size battery, but it is a 12-volt battery. Let's see if I don't die. We'll do the famous sniff test. What? That doesn't fit that terminal? Okay, well, we're going to cram that on there. Ooh. Okay, no sparks. That's good. I'm still alive. I'm still alive. I'm connected. I'm still alive. Just jolting experience. Here goes nothing. Anything? What just happened? No. What is that? Ooh, ouch. Oh, not remedies. I'm going to go make a key for this thing really quick. I'll be right back. All right. I went and made a key, aka stole it from the lawnmower. Why not? Okay. Oh, it works. All right, goodness gracious. No sparks are flying. No sparks. This is. Woo! That's a spark. Oh, I'm hearing flicky floppies. All right. You know why? Because I'm not connected good enough there. Where's a screwdriver when you need one? Oh, it's right there. Yeah, we're bad. Okay. If you've been dealing with motorcycles for more than one day, you know how annoying these things can be when it comes to the getting the screw and the nut. I like to tell you I have all these crazy tricks, but I just do what works. Oh, here's a trick. Not use that. Okay. Shove a flathead screwdriver up under there, and that'll do it. This isn't anything amazing. This is purely for entertainment purposes only. Boom. All right. I think maybe I needed a better ground. What is happening up front? Nothing? I was hoping I was going to see the light come on. Woo! Oh, whoa! I thought that was going to be ignition. That is crankage of engine. Do I want to do that yet? Should we just jump in and just do it? That battery is so dead, it's not even funny. All right, cool, but it cranked. Do I have anything over here? What is this? This is what fell off earlier. All right. No? Maybe come over here. All right, so I'm new at this whole YouTube thing, but I'm gonna tell you what, be glad that you didn't just venture on that journey with me of trying to figure out what the heck was going on with this wiring. But I have something excellent to show you. I figured it out. Come along on this wiring adventure. Remember when I was opening it up and cleaning it out and I found that big wire and I threw it away? Yeah, that was kind of important. That was the power supply to the switch. The switch then is grounded by this one right here, which goes to this ground wire. That was the one that was shorted out. And then the other side goes to the bus, which gives 12 volts to everything. So that should be ignition, headlight, and all that other jazz. And check it out. We have lightage. Up front, that's a headlight. Oh, yeah. And this awesome LED hardcore. That's got to go. All right. So that tells me, I think, from what I've seen just by going through some of the other wiring, I hate to be getting you all over the place like this. So I'm sorry if this is crappy recording. You guys let me know what I can do to make things better. Because honestly, first YouTube video, junky equipment, doing what I can. All right. And I'm trying not to make this boring, but I think the entertaining part is to see how many times I fail. Because I blew this fuse like 17 times, and in the time that the camera was turned off, I went to the store like 5 times, but for other things. All right, cool. Check it out. That's that. I got that. I got ignition. I got headlight. Ooh, let's see if the high bow moves. No way. Yep. Okay. Cool. Any lights on? No, I bet those aren't even. I bet those aren't even wired in because this is gone. That just tells me all they have on that is. Maybe we'll just get rid of these, save them because they're not in bad shape. I'll definitely clean them up and use them for maybe a restoration project or something down the line. I never get rid of parts like that. You say I'm a hoarder, but it's not so bad in here, right? I think I'm okay. Make room for all my stuff. So hey, just a suggestion for you. When you get to this point and you're messing with electronics, you're gonna be cranking, you're gonna be doing all sorts of things. Even if you're not necessarily you're done with the electronics, then you're trying to get the engine to start, hook up a battery charger. Save yourself the time from having to stop and wait for it to charge back up so you continue going. As you saw, I put that 12-volt battery on there. It was kind of half dead, but whatever. Guess what? It worked. Fixed the problem. Now, mine was simple. A lot of you guys are going to get an old bike like this and it's going to be so rat-eaten and torn. I'm not trying to make it look like this is so super easy. I think we kind of got lucky on this one. I promise I really don't know anything about this bike. I mean, this is the first time I'm really messing with it. I bet you by the end of this episode, though, I can get this thing to pop off, and that is my pure intent. So I think the next thing I want to do is let's see if it's got spark. I can get it to turn over. We know that. I got power on that. I checked my bus. I got 12 volts on my death bus. And I mean, really, what can we do? Let's pull the. Do I have one of those little cheater things? I thought I did. You know, yeah. Sparkulator tester thing or whatever. All right. So I got one of these handy dandy things. Spark tester. Show you how it works if you don't know already. Oh! You see that in there? Definitely got spark. That's. Oh. I didn't let it charge that long. Give you a break. All right, so we got spark. So we are 1/3 of the way there, because what do we need? Yes, exactly. That's what we need. So what I'm going to do, just messing around with this, I unhooked the fuel from the carburetor. I don't know how nasty that carburetor is inside. I guarantee you it's gummed up. It probably sat with fuel in it. I don't really know, but I'm sure it did. I cannot get into this fuel tank to see what it looks like. And I got to tell you, this tank is beautiful. It is in such good shape. I mean, there's no rust anywhere on it. I am not drilling this out and ruining this. This is one of the few times I'm going to suck it up. I'm going to take it down. We got a really good locksmith, and I know can get that open and then probably cut me a key to make it work. I love saving stuff. I hate just cutting and bashing things to make it work. I don't need this tank today to make it pop and fire, so we're going to save on it. We're going to bring it down there, see what they can do. Maybe we'll put that in the video. Who knows? I don't know. It can give away his secrets to picking your doors at night. Just kidding. He doesn't do that. All right, so motorcycle, easy, air, fuel, that thing. Like I said, I'm not going to mess with this tank right now. I don't know how dirty it is. It could be nasty inside. It could be really clean. I don't know. I am not destroying the tank by drilling it out. We're going to get that opened up. I don't like the way this is mounted, but that's not going to make a difference right now. So, Cayenne. This one's free. It's clean. It looks really good. Who knows what's in there, but I don't think there's any fuel. I'm going to check the drain. Open that up. Yep, not on the bottom. We'll pop the bowl off and just make sure that there's no residual fuel or nasty in there. I highly doubt there is. I think by this time it's probably dried out. Let's find out. Now, I'm not going to go pulling this apart right now. I just want to open it up and make sure there's no fuel in there, because I'm going to commit the ultimate sin and spray some starting fluid in here and see if we can get it to pop. I know you're all going to hate me for that, but honestly, really, you know, that's what real world people do. Nothing. Dry. Bone dry. Beautiful. And then if you wanted to pull the whole bowl off, 4 screws right here. Phillips heads, you'll strip them all out. You'll spend a year trying to do a bunch of other things and fix it and do all that stuff. I know, I ramble a lot. You can tell me that down in the comments. If you know more about these, I don't know the specs on this one. I'll kind of measure it and check it out. But if you know a lot about these guys, you know, post it down in the comments. Share your wealth, share the knowledge. That's the whole point of this, is that we all learn something. I'm not a professional. I am a semi-professional. I don't know what a professional even is. Just leave me alone. All right, cool. Like I said, the whole purpose of this video today is to see if this thing's worth building, worth getting going again, or if it'll fire up. And if it does all that, guess what? We're building a mean little 398. You saw the video earlier. But it'll be fun. Why not? Yeah. Okay, ignition on. I'm still alive. Still alive. Oh, this is dangerous. Oh. I heard something there. Game on. Game on. We're building the bike. So excited I forgot what I was doing. I guess next we can always get in here and see what this petcock looks like. Let me pull the tank off quick. God. This one's got a... It seemed awfully loose. Oh, maybe it's all nuts. Oh, let's see. Cool. Off. Yeah. Oh, any brown recluses? Oh, there's something. Oh, that's scary. Evil spiders everywhere. That doesn't look bad. Let's get this petcock. Oh man, there are spiders crawling everywhere. The hose didn't get under the tank very well. Oops. Little surface rust underneath, not too bad. Doesn't look like there's really any holes. There's spiders. Pull this petcock off. See how nasty it is. Maybe it's not. Maybe we'll be lucky. Do. Oh. Really glad. I know we had it in a shed, so it didn't see a lot of water, which is great. It's like it says, not a lot of rust, just corrosion needs to be cleaned up, but nothing crazy. And he must have stored this. Oh yeah! Wow, that's brand new. I don't want to pop the gasket off there. That's perfect. That's pretty good. Clean. They must have stored it without gas in it. He must have drained it. Good for them. Honestly, let's take this little piece of fuel line off. Take that off there. Ripped my hair out trying to find the fuel line that I thought I had. Run to the store, buy more, lose that. It's a typical thing. I feel comfortable putting gas in this, so that's what we'll do. We'll put a little fuel in here and see if we can get this thing to fire up and idle. I think I'm going to go straight to that because you know what? I'm pretty sure they did drain all the gas out of it because this was bone dry and clean. Carburetor looks clean in here. That's way too clean to have had any fuel in it. So I think they probably ran it out, which is good, which is why it pretty much fired right up. That blew my mind. Almost fake, but it wasn't, I promise. So, oh, so 2 different sizes of fuel. That is loose. Ugh. Let's tighten. I'm going to take a minute. I'm going to go through. I'm going to tighten a bunch of stuff up, cinch it down. So bear with me. Try to make this not too boring. All right, get in here, clean up the reclusi. What's the plural for a recluse? Brown recluse. There isn't one because they are recluse. Sorry for that. Sorry. I'll stop. All right, I got bees nests, mud daubers everywhere. Oh. Coil. All right. Die. Okay. Get that venting out of here. So we got fuel. Now going. Oh yeah. What do we think? All right. Get on there. Boom. No headlights. Why? Oh, lost. Yeah, that needs to be redone. We will definitely fix that. One headlight is on. I mean, I could kick it, but then I'd get tired really fast, and I'm lazy, and I just want to make it start. It's got a little choke on it here. Let's make the choke up. What is that? Up and down, maybe? Okay, it was on. Okay, on. Turn it. On. On is on. Throttle. Good. Ignition. Well, okay. She's a runner. Definitely need to adjust cables and carb and all that fun stuff, but she is a runner. Wait, no. Did I lose? It's really hard to turn a key. Yeah. still a little dribble out of this petcock, so that we might go ahead and just replace it. But okay. Well, okay. That's what I wanted. And it happened as promised. I always come through with my promises. All right, so we got it running. That's good at idles. I'll pull it outside at some point and fire it up out there so you don't get all the echoing. I know that probably sounds horrible inside. You just get a bunch of background noise. My mics aren't all that good yet. Anyway, we have a couple more things to tackle before we try and take it for a ride, which is what we're going to do by the end of this episode. Maybe. I think definitely. Tires hold air. That's a bonus. This electrical is my big concern. So I'm going to run down to the zone and see if I can get some replacements for this bus. Maybe figure out a way to rewire this so it's just a little less chance of it shorting out. Pick up a new battery so it can fit in here. Figure out the switch. Make sure that will work. I think we'll stick with that for now, just so I can try it out, and maybe down the road we'll redo it all. It depends. You tell me what you want to see. Put that down below. Tell me what you think we should do. Should we try and just get it back to the way it was and keep this guy's project and just clean it all up? Or should we go ahead and update everything and make it even cooler? So here we have a basic wiring diagram for one of these old school motorcycles. This is a pretty simple setup, nothing crazy. So everything that this system is going to include is the battery, contact breaker points, capacitor, ignition coil, and spark plugs. If you look at this diagram, it's pretty simple to see how it works and how the switch is going to pull voltage from the battery, and it's going to power up the coil. The battery supplies that current for the primary circuit. That's going to include the contact breaker points and the capacitor and the primary winding. When the points suddenly open up, with the ignition switch turned on, it sends a voltage, it sends a surge of electrons. It's produced in that secondary circuit, in that ignition coil. And that winding produces a powerful voltage that will go to the spark plug and create that spark that's going to jump the electrode in the spark plug. That's what you see when you see that blue spark happening when you ground out your spark plug. So it's a pretty simple setup, nothing crazy with it. That's the easiest way I can explain how it works. It's pretty easy to work on these old motorcycles, really, especially something like this KZ that we're working on, where they really simplified the electric system. They got rid of all the extra junk, and really we have the power supply that went through that breaker bus that I installed. Is going to be what supplies power to the headlights, the brake lights, turn signals if we add them, things like that. The ignition system is separate, and that's got to run on its own deal, on its own accord. Basically how they had it wired in here before, and which is why it's so important that I change it, is if we run just off that one fuse from the battery supplying power to everything, should that fuse blow, I lose all power everywhere. So even if it's something in the headlight that causes a breaker to blow, or I'm sorry, a fuse to blow, I'm going to lose power throughout the entirety of the vehicle. So we want to avoid that. We want to kind of isolate the circuits. That way they each have their own fuse on them, and if there's a problem with just that circuit, then just that circuit blows. Does that make sense? Pretty simple. If you guys really want to learn more about this, I can break it down in a lot bigger detail. I just want to give you a quick rundown of the basics of this, and this is exactly what's left on this KZ. That's what it looks like, and that's what I'm going to be cleaning up here just to make sure it looks good. And then the power that supplies the power bus that I put in, I'm going to put a fuse block in there. We're going to isolate all those circuits, and we're just going to make this a lot more dependable. Probably still not going to be the prettiest thing in the world. I really got to gut it and redo this harness. It's been hacked into a lot, but there you have it. Okay, so here's what we have come up with. New battery fitted in there. I got the solenoid mounted on that little bracket. Fuse box there has a little plastic cover that's going to go on top. I relocated the switch, the starter switch, over here on the side of the box instead of up here to where the seat pan was. So now you can just take that on and off without having to mess with it. It is the same thing with that power switch. So everything's nice and tucked in there. I know it looks a little messy right now, but it's not too bad. Like I said, it's the final product. But I just wanted to get it all in there. Nothing's grounding out, nothing's shorting, everything's nice and sealed. I feel comfortable putting that on the road at least. So I think next step is power on everything, see if it works. So key down goes down in the side here. So you'll just kind of reach under your seat. Switch. Headlights. High, low. Good, good, good. Brakes on. Brake light comes on. Brake light. Good. Headlights, high, low work. Yep, good. There's no turn signals on it. What happens when I turn the key? Nothing. Oh, I know why. I didn't put a fuse in the fuse holder. There's always something you forget, right? Boom. Now let's try that. Oop. Well, is the battery semi-dead? It's clicking it. I think the batteries maybe just needs to go on the charger for a little bit then. I don't know. They're supposed to be fully charged out of the box, but you know. All right, we let the battery cook overnight. It's next morning. It was getting a little late. I figured get some rest, jump on this first thing in the morning. So here we are. All right, let's try this again. So we got power on. Good. Everything looks good there. And do I have the crankatize? Boom. Okay, so a little earlier on, I tried to fire this thing up. Battery was not the most powerful for it, but I think I can use that battery. In the long run, I'm going to put a bigger one down here and utilize that space since this is no longer a swing arm because they welded this solid. So we'll get to that part later. But then I tried to fire it and it wouldn't fire up at all. And I went through all my wiring to make sure, and I said, man, I know I did it the same way. I just added fuses in line. It's essentially all I did, and then organized it. I went through ripping what's left of my hair out. And I realized I didn't have any spark, and that was the issue. And I got down in here and started tracing wires, and I started moving everything. And all of a sudden, I had spark again. So then I went down to this little kind of junction down here where all these wires are coming through to make sure nothing's pinched or grounded out. And I couldn't find anything. And then I traced the wire all the way up and found that they had a splice here. The heat shrink, and underneath that shrink wrap was one of these horrible blue connectors. So I sat there messing with it. I put the ohm meter on it. It was connected. I'd wiggle it. It disconnected. So I went back and forth a couple of times just to make sure that was my problem, and that is my problem. So we're going to cut this out. We're going to solder it together, heat to it, make a permanent connection. And I should get my spark back. Let's cross our fingers. Back from the pool. All right. I kind of forgot that it had a Kickstarter on it. So I sprayed a little gas in there. Let's see if we can kick it, get the fire with the new wiring, make sure that it's good. Heard it. I heard it pop. I probably put too much in there and I flooded it. That's okay. We're going to be good. Okay, my wiring is right. So, all right, cool. Back onto the brake reservoir. We had some issues there, but I think I might have taken care of them. It's been a kind of pain in the butt. but I think I can get front brake. Once we do that, I really think that we'll throw the tank back on, and I can put this thing down the road here. Why not? Let's try it out. Let's see if we can do something about these brakes. So I got rear brakes, which is great. The front, it's not frozen, but I don't think it has any fluid in it. It may have all leaked out. So let's see if we can figure out what that's all about. This looks like it's probably one of those aftermarket online deals. Taking off the brake cap. All right. And it's stuck. Oh. Okay, well, there is fluid in there. Ooh. Now, I was hoping that it just dried out. Well, I guess that tells me the seals aren't bad. But that means the rest of it's bad. Pretty gunky down in there. It's pretty nasty, huh? Ew. Anything happen? Well, why don't I open up the bleeder screw? See if anything comes out down there. But it's a 10. Okay, gonna bleed it. Ooh, nice new rubber cap. It's really surprising how much of the rubber and plastics on this have not been dried out. Let's go. Ooh. Fluid. Man, maybe. No. Why don't I let that dribble on out and see. Ooh. If I can make a mess on the floor. No. Where is the stinking broom? What in the world? It was the motorcycle's fault. He cut off the semi. Okay, here. There. Dribble away. Does anything come out when I press the squirter? Is it doing that because I'm rocking the bike, or is that doing that? Oh, I don't know. Could just be clogged. That's pretty gross in there. I don't know. Let's figure that out. Yes, that came out of that. I'm assuming they probably mixed two different fluids together. It doesn't seem to be any leaks, and it was full. Although this boot is probably shot. I don't know. We're going to throw it in this little cleaner. A little trick to these guys. Run it for a little bit like an air fryer. It gets up to temp a lot faster if you're running it. So in a couple minutes, and that'll probably shoot up to 40, 50 degrees Celsius. Okay, if you've never messed with a brake master cylinder from a bike, they're pretty simple. It's a mini hydraulic pump. Right, you're going to have the body, lever, the cap, the line will hook on with the banjo fitting, and that's what's going to run down to your front brake. It's got a plunger with a spring, and there's two seals in it, and you'll see these little grooves. And how that's designed to work is, if you look down inside of the body, there are two holes here. One is a larger bore. One is almost like a jet for a carburetor. And as this lever is pressed, it'll come in, and that little foot right there will push in the plunger. The plunger will move back and forth, creating a suction and forcing hydraulic fluid to come out into the fitting. and that's what's going to activate your brakes. So it's pretty simple. A lot of times what will happen is this will end up seizing inside. In our case, I think what happened is they mixed two different styles of fluids together, which caused it to turn more into a gum. And it cleaned out pretty well. We're going to try and put this back together and see what happens. I think the seal looks good. The bore down in there looks pretty smooth. If these corrode, you get a lot of moisture in there, you're pretty much going to have to replace it. I mean, you could get down in there and hone out the bore, but once it's jacked, it's kind of done, and it's not really worth it. You can get aftermarket ones like this for anywhere from 15 to 30 bucks, and then you can go out and get some real good ones that go all the way up to $400. So it really depends on what your budget is, what you want to do. I've used these before. If we're just talking regular street or a dirt bike, nothing crazy, I'd trust this. I mean, I've used them a million times. When you start getting the high performance and racing, obviously you're going to want to start upping your game on the components. But that's how that works. So we're going to go ahead and get that put back together. See if I can't get some brake pressure on the front. We'll clean out the lines and we'll go from there. All right, so brake reservoir is back on. I've been letting it sit a little bit. I'm getting pedal or lever. Getting lever. I don't know. Do I say that? I don't know. Bleed it a couple more times, but I am getting pressure filled up. It is now responsive. Feeling good. I can feel it hitting. So a couple more pumps here. Let out a little more fluid. Looking good. No air. I think we have front brakes again. You bleed these the same way that you bleed a car. It's really no different. However, it's a lot more difficult getting the air out of the line because you really can't bench bleed this the same way that you can with a vehicle. It has just the one port. But what I usually do is and I wish I would have shown this to you before I did it, but I kind of jumped the gun and got antsy. I'll mount it back on, fill it up, and slowly squeeze the brake lever. A lot of times you'll only get maybe a half inch of motion until you actually start building pressure. And then with the spring assist, it'll kick that button all the way back out again for you. So, oh yeah, it feels good now. I just bled it. I go right back into it. But again, the same thing as a car. You hitting that pedal, then hold it, then bleed it, drop it. So, pretty simple. Remove the cap, pour the brake fluid in, let it sit. And a lot of times I will open up the bleeder screw at the bottom, let it kind of start draining through until the bubbles stop. Then I'll close that up and I'll slowly squeeze the lever until I stop seeing bubbles, and then I got to put the cap back on. You have to put the cap back on the majority of these. Otherwise, you're going to be shooting fluid. For one, it'll shoot all the way up to the ceiling. But two, it won't build the pressure properly if you don't put the cap back on. So put the cap back on, pump it, pump it, pump it, pump it. Look in your little window, your little peep sight over here. It tells you the level, just like the oil, same deal. And then you just keep going until it feels like you got brakes. And it definitely feels like I got brakes. I also have a wolf spider over here that keeps making nests all over the side, or webs all over the side of this bike in like 5 minutes. I just got rid of that one. Maybe he'll be the mascot. Should I just leave him on it? They're good spiders. Don't kill them. Wolf spiders are good spiders. It's just a natural thing. Put them outside. They'll take care of everything else. Don't kill them. That's my public service announcement. Now that we have brakes, I want to move on to this guy. We're going to check the carb. I will tell you that when I pulled the tank off the first time that I had fuel sitting in it, it did start to overflow here, which tells me that the float bowl, or the float inside the bowl, was not raising up and making a seal. So we might need an adjustment there. It might be stuck. Overall, this carb looks pretty clean, but you never know what might be down in here. Now, I do think that the fuel was drained when it was stored, but you never know. Now, that's the right thing to do. You want to do that. You can put additives and stuff in the fuel, but I'm telling you, if you're planning on parking it for a while, best way to save your project, drain all the fuel, and run it out. That's the absolute best way to do it. Otherwise, you will gum up down here. You'll get that varnish. And man, that is the absolute worst smell in the world. I could become a millionaire if I can figure out a way to get that scent completely off your hands in a second. But let's dive into this puppy. I'm going to take it apart, show you how simple they actually are. So just a quick explanation of a carburetor for those of you who aren't too in tune with them or think that they are a lot more difficult than they really are. I want to let you know that they are really simple devices. Don't let all the ports and needles and jets and all that stuff fool you. They're actually pretty simple. So basically, a carburetor, it's a device that mixes air and fuel into the correct ratio to form a combustible material. That's the Webster Dictionary version. They consist of your float bowl. There's all the fuel sits. You're going to have a float. That's why it's called a float bowl. The float sits inside of the float bowl, and as the fuel level rises, the float rises, and it puts the needle, the float needle, into the seat. And I'll show you the seat here in just a second. Then you have the main body. Main body is going to have your main bore, or what we call the venturi. This is what your size of your carburetor is based off of. This one, for example, 35. It's P35. That means it's a 35 millimeter bore. You have a fuel enrichener, or what we call a choke. This is where the float sits on. Inside here, you're going to have your pilot jet, your main jet, then your main needle jet, which is inside this tube here. Brass piece that goes all the way up into the venturi. This right here is your needle seat. So as that float bowl rises, this needle will go up into that and seal it off. And then fuel won't be able to flow in through the port anymore. Exactly what that's for. Pretty easy so far, right? Then what you're going to have is the slide. The slide has the needle mounted to the base of it. That slide along with the needle is going to move up and down this bore like that, allowing more air to flow through. Now, why it's called a venturi? The venturi effect. The venturi effect is when air flows through restriction of a passage and narrows. What that does is increase speed and decreases the air pressure inside the carburetor, which is actually going to suck up the fuel up through your jets. So twisting the throttle really doesn't have a direct effect on how much fuel is going in. It has a direct effect on the air pressure that's happening inside the venturi, and your main jet and pilot jets and your needle jet are going to control how much fuel goes up into the carburetor and then eventually into your intake. So pretty simple. There's not a whole lot to them. Sometimes people get scared of all these little parts, but they're pretty basic. Unfortunately, this one I wanted to rebuild, but when I got down here to the float, the mount where there's a pin that goes right through here, and you'll see it's broken off. This little tab is broken off, so I can't properly mount the float in here. Not really a whole lot I'm going to be able to do to get that back on there. The amount of energy it's going to take to kind of get in there and aluminum weld that up and do all sorts of fun stuff. We're going to buy a cheapy carburetor, throw it on there, and see if we can't just get it running for now with that. Anyway, that's how our carburetor works. I hope you got all that. Back to the studio. All right, so a couple days later, I got a new petcock on the tank. I threw that back on real quick. We're going to see if we can get some fuel flowing in there and make this other carburetor work for us. It is just a website special. Until I get something good, I just want to see if I can get it to work for now. Those actually aren't too bad sometimes. And when you pay $13, $25 for them, you know, what the heck, why not? Just throw it on there and see what happens. I'm going to throw the battery down on the old swing arm. I made a mount for it. We're going to get that mount put in, welded into place, and wire that up. And we should have enough battery power again to make this thing fire the right way. It was the original battery that I used to fire it the first time. I've just determined, you know, that this little battery, it just can't cut it. It'll make it spark, it'll make it pop, but it's just not really enough to get it going at a good spark. And every time I put the bigger battery back on, it goes right back to it. So stuff to think about. This was the size battery that was on it.
And apparently it ran like that, but I'm just not having the luck with it. So I'm going to stick with the bigger battery. I already have it. Why not? Alright, so here we are a day later. Just put some fresh gas in it. Threw that carb in. I really didn't mess with it too much. We're going to see what it does. See if maybe we can get this thing to start up and idle. Well, let's try it out. Okay. Maybe adjust it. Okay. So I got to mess with this cable. The cable that was on it isn't really the right one. We're going to have to play with a little bit in here. Figure out what's going on there. about 2,000 RPM. Alright, so I moved that down a notch, and essentially all I did was I took that main jet and it pushed it down a little further into the main needle jet. See if it makes any difference. Well, would you look at that? I'm gonna say we got lucky on that one, but maybe I'm just good. That's gonna hang up there now. Yeah, it's that cable. I detect a bit of a miss. Gas that I put in there. Enough? No. Yes. Plenty of gas. And then can I hang up here? So, I don't have any other cables. Mess with the idle screw a little bit. Needs a little tweaking. But so far, so good. It's not bad. Firing on all two. Both depths. Oh boy, that leak is really bad. Real bad. We gotta do pressure switch. And lights. And nuggets. What do we say? I got brakes. I don't know if I have clutch. Alright. Go first. No neutral light on here. Yeah, see. See, I gotta fix this cable before I can try and ride it. That's gonna hang up on me. That seems safe. Alright, so while we were working earlier, a freak thunderstorm came in and just started dumping on us out of nowhere. So before I could even get the bike inside, I got drenched. So it's still the same day. I'm back outside again. Some of the storm has passed. I just wanted to change into some drier clothes, so that's why that magic happened. Either way, I pushed it inside, worked on a couple of things, but rookie mistake, I forgot to hit record. But you know what? There's plenty of other things in the video that you're going to pick on me for anyway, so who cares? Anyway, here's what we fixed. I dug into that oil leak, which was the pressure sensor was just cracked at the top. I threw a little bit of JB Weld on it, just hoping to squeeze by, maybe get a quick ride in like I promised we would do, right? We got that carburetor issue fixed. It was a issue between the cable and a slight vacuum leak. It was just a poor gasket from the factory. Got that piece fixed. It runs on idles decently well. I got a little bit of tuning to do on it yet, but we'll get to that later. I think we're ready to try and put it on the road real quick. So, hang tight. I'll be right back. Probably going to be a pretty quick ride. We got a pending storm of doom coming in. there we have it. Not too bad. Needs a little bit of love, a little bit of tuning in there. No big deal, but first time back on the road in, 10, 15 years. And that's going to be the whole point of this channel, is just trying to rescue these old bikes. Don't be afraid to get out there, get that project out of your shed. Don't be afraid to break stuff. Don't be afraid to put money into it. Don't be afraid to not put money into it. I mean, what all did we do to this? It's been sitting forever outside. We threw a new carb on it. The old one could have been rebuilt if that piece wasn't broken. That's a bummer. Upgraded that battery, put a tray down there. Just kind of hastily redid the electronics, but we got them to where they're safe. They're not going to burn up your bike or any issues there. Remounted that seat properly, cleaned up the gas tank a little bit, new petcock. Rebuilt the brake reservoir by using some JB Weld on the bench top. Whoop-de-doo. That was pretty simple. We got front brakes and they held up the whole time, so that's great. Both tires seem to be holding air. Fixed the oil leak. 15 years, she just went down the road. I'm happy. But if you like what you saw today, stick around, because next episode I'm going to be bringing in a beautiful chopper that my buddy built back in 2011, and unfortunately, due to family issues and all sorts of crazy stuff going on, it sat in a little bit of neglect. We're going to get it back on the road. He deserves it. We're going to make that thing beautiful again, get it back to him, and I hope it makes his day. I'm also going to introduce you to some of the other projects that we have going on around here, like my Virago 920 Cafe. We do have a beautiful 1972 TC90 Blazer that I'm rebuilding. And then we're going to get out of the garage for a little bit and go down and see a new pit bike track, a BMX park that's being built in the city. And they also got a surprise coming up for you, which is going to be fun for the whole family type build. You got to stick around and see what that's. Until next time, keep it on two wheels, or maybe one. But whatever you do, don't tell Shan. Thanks for watching Tanks.tv.